Hey everyone, Adam Edwards, CEO of Telarus. Today here with Mr. John DeLozier, Senior Vice President of Global Channel Sales with 8x8. What a thrill it is to be sitting with John, head of the channel at 8x8, but also big influencer in the channel. We're going to pick his brain a little bit today about what's going on in the environment and specifically at 8x8. So John, welcome.
Oh, Adam, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to sit down with you. Always a pleasure to be around Telarus and just hear what's going on over in your world. So thanks for having me.
You bet. So let's get started right away. Partners starved for information. Information seems to change week by week with what's going on. Tell us from your vantage point, what are you seeing within 8x8 in terms of sales activity, customer request? What's changed recently?
Wow, it's amazing, isn't it? Now, I think the last time we spoke, which was way too long, 90 days ago, I remember I was running through an airport, you were running through an airport, we're on the phone together. It's just been a crazy 90 days. And my CEO, Vic Burma, and I talk about these things all the time. And Vic coined a phrase, which is very, by the way, very tasteful, I think. And he's calling this the golden age of communications for all the wrong reasons.
Hmm.
And I got to tell you, it just totally makes sense to me. First off, for 8x8 especially, this is not new in terms of the pandemic, of course, is new, but work from home, work on the run, work on the fly. It's not new technology for us. January, we had 40,000 users on our meetings platform. As of yesterday, we have 27 million. 27 million. And so why am I telling you that? Not just a pitch on 8x8. It's because the work from home world and being able to utilize voice and video meetings and contact center, it is spreading like crazy. It is becoming, in my opinion, the number one concern for any business. And so whereas you were starting a company before, or you were expanding, you were looking at corporate real estate, et cetera, it was pretty much the first thing you looked at. I think that's all changed now. I think the first thing that you consider and look at is your communications platform. And if that's the case, if I'm right about that, and I believe the data will back up that I am, it presents an incredible opportunity for the Telarus family of partners and Telarus in general. So that's what I'm seeing. We're seeing spikes in demand generation. We're seeing customers and partners reach out. They want to be better. They want to be bigger, but they want a reliable, secure communications platform that meets all of those things.
Well, it's certainly a big change. It feels like we just hit fast forward on an existing trend. In fact,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
debated in some of my conversations what sticks around, what stays that has been normal for the last 2 months, and then what reverts back to the old. And this seems like just an existing trend, just got fast forwarded.
I agree. This throws the Jeffrey Moore chasm on its ear, doesn't it? I mean, we have just accelerated through early adoption in cloud. We were seeing trends towards large enterprise, global enterprise, multinational companies based in the U.S. and outside of the U.S. Of course, Telarus does business all over the world, just like 8x8. And so, yeah, I think it has been accelerated. And I really truly believe there's no going back. I think the toothpaste is out of the tube. I think that customers and partners now are realizing that there is an opportunity to change the way we work and not miss a beat from a technology perspective. I mentioned to you earlier the stat about our meetings platform, and I will tell you that for us, we went from that 40K to that 27 million or whatever it is, and there wasn't a blip.
Hmm.
And so that made us feel secure, and that made us feel like the platform's reliable. I think that's passed down to each of our partners and to our customers. So yeah, I don't think we go back anytime soon to the old way. In fact, I think the old way is the old way. I don't believe that it's going to be okay, pause and return to early 2020. I think this is the new world.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that this fast forwarding to the trend, what we've seen is we've been a video first company, making sure that we're talking this way, interfacing, seeing each other. We feel like it makes a better connection. And hey, we sell the stuff and help partners sell the stuff, so maybe we should use it. And that's been the case for years. But what I've noticed is everyone's got their cameras on now, and that just wasn't the case 6 months ago. 6 months ago, you dial into a web bridge like this, and you'd have maybe a third of the participants with their cameras on. And it seems like everyone's just more comfortable interfacing like this because we're starved for some sort of interface.
You got that right. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Remember the guys and gals that came before you and me. And I remember 10 years ago or 15 years ago, folks saying to me, oh, video is the future, video is the future. And honestly, I kind of just blew it off. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, video is the future. Got it. What do I know? And then, excuse me, as time has gone on, to your point, I think the interactions are more and more important. Now, my opinion on this is very simple, that yes, companies like 8x8 who helped invent the cloud, telephony world that we're seeing today, and companies like Telarus who utilize the platform and use video every day, I don't think that's the norm for the world in general. I think there's mystery there, right? There's mystery in this online video communications platform for enterprise still. And I believe always where there's mystery, there's margin. And I truly believe that as you, Telarus, continue to educate your partners and work with companies like ours, so committed to yours, as you know, we can help them understand and educate their customers. They demystify those things. They create margin for themselves. So the opportunity tastefully, by the way, we're not going to apologize because we have a warehouse full of water during a drought. I think tastefully, it's a great opportunity for our partners.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, the number of companies that just forwarded to cell phones and, took these stopgap measures have yet to have a conversation about what technology to use going forward. There are a lot of them, even in spite of the run-up of your massive increase here in the last couple of months. There's still a lot of companies that have not adopted the right technology for them. And I think one area that 8x8 really led out was the combination, seeing the combination between UC and contact center really overlap. Talk to that a little bit. Are you seeing people, kind of like we're using video more, are you seeing customers now adopt more contact center technology during this period?
Absolutely. And we're seeing it all over the world. It's certainly not just domestically. We're seeing it everywhere. And I will tell you that this is a shameless plug for our company. That is a big differentiator between 8x8 and lots of the competition, Adam. We are a platform. We had a huge announcement yesterday around our new concept of an open platform, combining secure, reliable video, voice, contact center, CPaaS opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. And why is that important? It's exactly what you just said. Most of our customers, most of the opportunities that our partners are bringing us into, it's not one or the other. It's the receptionist desk phone, and it's the omni-channel contact center agent, and they want to measure everything in between, which is where our analytics come on top of that. Somebody was asking me yesterday, I think it was Forrester, you're considered now, one of the leading software companies in UC telephony and contact center. And I replied, I said, thank you for that. I believe that's true. But I almost consider us a big data company because really the analytics apply to be able to measure those things back and forth. So the answer to the question is every single opportunity we see, typically we see a combo of the different technologies. Very rarely is it a pure UCaaS play.
Well, what a great time to be an agent, because it used to be, you're talking total cost of ownership. And, when it's distributed, cloud makes sense because I got a lot of little offices. When it's under one roof, then, hey, I can sweat my equipment for a while because I've got this box back there and it's cheaper. And that is nowhere near the conversation we've been having the last couple of years. It's all about business enablement and how do these things, now contact center, enable my business. And you guys are hitting it right on the head, which is data. Process flow, define process, and then the data to back it up.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of, and this, we've talked about it before, and I've said it from the stage many times. That that new paradigm is being driven now at the CEO level from stakeholders because customers are demanding it. The old days, remember the old days, Enterprise Connect and some channel partners to some degree, some of the big shows, it was always about the big hardware guys. And the CEO would bring the CIO into their office and say, okay, I want you to go to this show and come back with hardware and software that changes our world. And they would go with their shopping cart to the show and pull things off the shelf and bring them back to headquarters, back up the truck, have the big cutover, and it would be done, right? Those days are long over. Customers and consumers and stakeholders and companies are demanding the things that we've talked about, which is not only the ability to communicate anywhere and meet customers where they are, but to be able to measure it. And so definitely a new paradigm, and it's fun, very fun to be in there with Telarus right in the middle of it, because you guys truly have embraced that early on, which is cool.
Well, so let's talk use case. I want to jump into an example, of all the great deals that we've seen. There was one that stood out that we chatted about briefly before, where the partner working with Telarus worked side by side with 8x8 to close a fantastic deal, international components. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's really what we've been discussing. It's a great use case, a great example. End of last year, first of all, we had a record year with Telarus. We're going to have another record year here in 2020, which is awesome. Thank you very much for your trust and the trust of your partners. But yeah, this was one of those customers that it was multinational, contact center, and UCaaS, and definitely wanted to measure everything in between. They wanted implementation and deployment to go smoothly. Who doesn't, right? And it was one of those companies that had compliancy issues, compliancy requirements. They really had to be compliant with several different federal, state, local companies, and all of those things were critically important to them. And so, because the 8x8 platform is a combination in all of those things, they didn't have to go to a UCaaS vendor, a contact center vendor, even a custom application CPaaS vendor. They didn't have to go to a separate place to measure those things, which were really critical for them. And they came to one place, which was 8x8. We were able to deliver that in Cape Town, South Africa, in the UK, I believe the US, of course, and possibly even Asia Pac. I can't remember exactly where all the locations were, but again, it's a great example of a multinational company that needs the reliability that 8x8 can bring them with 17 global data centers in each one of those theaters. By the way, let me just pause there 1 second. We're interested, our platform in of itself is pretty amazing. The fact that we utilize 17 data centers around the world, and we use something that we trademark called geo-routing, meaning that in Africa or in the UK or wherever you are, your traffic and your data and those kinds of things not only are secure and reliable, but they're reliable and secure because they're utilizing local data centers. They're not coming back to the US and getting spit back out. They're going to find whatever's the closest thing is and take care of business there. So it was a great example, again, of a pretty seamless implementation, a good deployment with an incredible agent in the middle, bringing us the opportunity and helping out with those kinds of things. And at the end of the day, really high marks for 8x8 and Telarus. And so, Adam, I believe we'll continue to see more of that.
Well, and the international component you're talking about, it seems like more and more companies have an international, it used to be just massive companies were the only multinationals, but it seems these mid-enterprise businesses more and more are multinational. I think it's an important point that we don't want the audience to miss, which is data retention within the country, because you've got so many new laws like GDPR, and now we're going to have rules in California soon that are going to look very similar. Other nations setting these up. So the fact that you're delivering local services and keeping data local, huge factor when selling international.
Yeah, thanks. And absolutely spot on with how many companies do we how many enterprises, right, do we deal with today that aren't multinational? It's kind of flipped. And I know that you have made a commitment to really establish yourself not only in the UK, but in Asia Pac within the ANZ region. And we've had successes there as well. So I think the partners that recognize that, the agents that get that, will gravitate towards companies like Telarus, because it's not going to be just domestic any longer. And they're going to need the reliability and security globally to make their customers happy. So good days ahead.
Absolutely. So we've got partners who are, obviously trying to go out and help their existing customers. When sales kind of froze up, we saw March, something slammed closed, and then April, a lot of people held off on making decisions. We're seeing that starting to pick back up again, and agents are out looking. Now, something that 8x8 has done very successfully with a select number of partners that we've been able to be a part of has been Blitz Days. You guys came into the office here and did it once here. You've also done it around the country with many of our partners. And you then pivoted and started doing those virtually and very successfully, I might add. Tell us about those a little bit.
Yeah, it's incredible. The success that we've seen with our 8x8 Blitz Days and our they're called 8x8 Educate and Elevate Days, has been incredible. It really, truly has. And really how it all started was Tina Smith, who my head of marketing, who is fantastic. Her and I were in a room having a conversation one day, and we were laughing about the fact that both of us are kind of the gap between the old world and the new world when it comes to sales. I know what it's like to be dropped off at an office building with a pocket full of business cards and some change in my pager, and able to create demand based on just some good old-fashioned hard work in the ditch. In those same days, we did Blitz Days all the time, right? Remember, for us, it wasn't buying a lead list. We couldn't afford that. For us, it was the phone book. And for those of you that don't know what the phone book is, believe it or not, people used to deliver this to your home with phone numbers for all your local businesses and residents in your area. Just Google it, all you wires, and you'll get it. But the phone book, and then remember the business journals that used to come out with the leases in the back. And so we could find out who was doing what and when they were doing it. Again, some fun nostalgia. But it sparked some ideas with us and said, what's old is always new again. What if we went to our partners and instead of just some cold calling that we literally identified for our masters, like Telarus, right? A lead list, maybe it's a geography you pick, maybe it's a vertical, maybe it's a horizontal, a segment, whatever you want. And we start nurturing those ahead of time, and then boom, we create an exciting day where we used to show up at the office with balloons and cake, and our folks that take care of you at Telarus will make you dinner. Glenn will bring you a whole supper.
It's true. We still talk about that.
Exactly. And you get together, create some excitement in the office, and ring the bell. And so some of the folks in our organization were a little skeptical about that. And so we started putting it in play, and we saw accelerated deal registration and demand generation. And it wasn't for us selfishly just a matter of the success of that day, which has been significant, right? But it's been the aftermath of those things. Meaning, we've talked to a Telarus sub-agent. The sub-agent gets excited about some lead gen, and now they get to know us, and we get to know them. And it's a very beautiful blend between the master, the sub, and the supplier. Very cool stuff. Now, COVID hits. What do? Is it going to work still? I mean, we're not on-prem. We're not ringing the bell live. And we looked at each other and said, of course it'll work, because we have the technology to do it. Again, this is not new for us. And so we've done a couple national Blitz Days, most recently with Telarus. I think Adam, on our last Blitz Day with you all, we touched like 25 subs and created over $250,000 in deal registrations and demand generation, et cetera. Incredible. So it's an awesome, awesome way. If you're out there listening as a Telarus agent, it's an awesome way to hitch your wagon to this incredible master and create opportunity for yourselves that you didn't know exist. It works, Adam.
Yeah, we've seen it. We saw the results, and look forward to doing it again and engaging sub-agents who want to do that. Of course, selection process, and we want to make sure it's not just the willing but the able who sign up for it and engage with us. But we did see success and look forward to doing it again.
Yes, sir.
All right, so John, Final comments. We've got partners engaged here. They're in the race to the summit. They're watching you today and trying to learn more about 8x8. Final comments. What would you leave with them?
Now is the time. I will leave you with that. Look, I could give you shameless plug after shameless plug with 8x8. I think our platform is different than everybody else's. I know I get paid to say that, but I truly believe it. It's secure, it's reliable. You get anything and everything you need in that platform, and it's measurable. That said, regardless of supplier, and I truly mean this, regardless of supplier, where there's mystery, there's margin. This is your opportunity. Jump in there with customers. Teach them about this virtual environment. Treat them right now. When things go back to the new normal, they won't forget about you. That's my advice to the partner community.
Great wisdom there. Thank you very much, Mr. John DeLozier. Good advice for our partners. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, take care.
Adam, thank you. Bye-bye.